Hello, it's Rachel here again. Today I just want to make a video about the way Jehovah's Witnesses feel about injustice. They teach that Jehovah God is a God of justice, that justice is one of his 4 cardinal attributes, they call it. And Jesus, of course, it talks about him reigning for justice and righteousness. I think girded about his hips or something with those qualities. So very important qualities. But it seems that Jehovah's Witnesses really, rather than addressing the injustices they see, they are quite content just to sit back and just observe from the sidelines, pretty much. Their answer to injustice is that at some future time God will correct all injustices. At Armageddon, he will permanently annihilate those who don't serve him, who aren't one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and who treat people unjustly. He'll get rid of them. And likewise during the millennial reign, I guess if people were treating others unjustly, they would soon be gotten rid of. So okay, so is it really this just sitting back and watching injustice unfold and not doing anything about it, just watching, is that really something that's advocated in the scriptures? Well, no, it's not. You think of some of the prophets like Jeremiah and Isaiah, that Jehovah appointed them to speak out to the nation of Israel because of their injustices, especially the injustices of the leaders, of the priests in particular. And I just want to share some scriptures that I found. Actually, first of all, I've just noted some here. Everyone's familiar with Isaiah 9:7, which talks about, you know, Jesus, the son that would be born, he had a princely rule, and he would rule with justice. And then, of course, when Jesus read from the scroll of Isaiah, that's in Luke, I think it's Luke chapter 4, and he applies words there to himself, and he talks about, you know, liberating those that are in bondage. So he was there to see that justice was carried out for those who were oppressed. So, you know, you think that Christians following in the footsteps of Jesus would also be interested in liberating others from bondage to their oppressors. And of course, the religious leaders in Jesus' day, the scribes and Pharisees, were very oppressive. They had created so many laws and rules for the people that was impossible for them to keep. So they were very oppressed and weighed down. But I looked up to see what the books of Isaiah and Jeremiah said about justice. And I came across some interesting verses, and I'll just read Isaiah chapter 1 in my handy dandy old, don't know where I've put my silver sword. It's somewhere. Anyway, Isaiah 1 verse 17. And of course Isaiah is relating words from Jehovah here. And he says, "Learn to do good, search for justice, set right the oppressor, render judgment for the fatherless boy, plead the cause of the widow." So it wasn't okay just to sit back and watch the oppressed being oppressed and watch them being judged mercilessly. You actually had to set right the oppressor. So you had to do something. Actually, ironically, the following verse here was one that was read to me at my judicial committee meeting 4 years ago. It says, "Come now, you people, and let us set matters straight between us, says Jehovah. Though the sins of you people should prove to be as scarlet, they will be made white just like snow. Though they should be red like crimson cloth, they will become even like wool." I had to ask them whether my sins were scarlet, etc. I said, oh no, 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 it's just the part that we're interested in is about us meeting together and setting things straight. Anyway, so that verse followed on from the other that I read, you know, setting right the oppressor. Although, in my opinion, I was not an oppressor. It's the organisation that's the oppressor. Okay, so I'm going to go to Jeremiah. And I found this really interesting chapter, and it's actually very appropriate for the organisation these days. So I'm going to read chapter 22, verse 2 and 3. And it says here, so Jehovah has instructed Jeremiah to say this to the king. And you must say, hear the word of Jehovah, O King of Judah, who are sitting on the throne of David, you with your servants and your people, those who are coming in through these gates. This is what Jehovah has said. Render justice and righteousness, and deliver the one that has been robbed out of the hand of the defrauder, and do not maltreat any alien resident, fatherless boy or widow. Do them no violence, and do not shed any innocent blood in this place. Now, what came to mind when I was reading this is, of course, that the governing body have already set themselves on thrones, haven't they? And they, of course, you know, believe they're going to be ruling from heaven in the near future, although really they're ruling now, aren't they? And in fact, they teach that the anointed who have already died are now ruling as kings, sitting on thrones in heaven. So we could be addressing this to them, really. And I'll just read from verse 13 to 17, and this is very interesting, especially in mind that they've just dedicated the new headquarters in Warwick, New York, and done it all with volunteer labour. Anyway, see what you think, and I'm just going to read this. Woe to the one building his house, but not with righteousness, and his upper chambers, but not with justice, by use of his fellow man who serves for nothing, and whose wages he does not give him. The one saying, I am going to build for myself a roomy house and commodious upper chambers, and my windows must be widened out for it. Maybe a nice view over the lake. And the panelling will be with cedar and smeared with vermilion. Some nice, really nice, expensive furniture for the office would be nice. Will you continue reigning because you are competing by use of cedar? As for your father, did he not eat and drink and execute justice and righteousness? In that case it went well with him. He pleaded the legal claim of the afflicted one and the poor one. In that case it went well. Was not that a case of knowing Jehovah? Assuredly your eyes and your heart are upon nothing but upon your unjust gain. Yes, maybe there's flipping off all this, you know, the kingdom halls, getting them built with free labour and then selling them. And upon the blood of the innocent one in order to shed it, and upon defrauding and upon extortion in order to carry them on. So it seems a bit of this was going on back in Jeremiah's day with the nation of Israel. But just so similar, isn't it, to Jehovah's organisation today? So while the organisation has been bragging about all its building and the awards that they've got for, you know, their environmentally friendly green approach to building, and they've made videos about it. Meanwhile, the fatherless child, basically, the orphans, the ones who have been sexually abused in silence, the organisation is not willing to show justice in their case, rather trying to shirk off any responsibility for what's happened to them and how their cases have been handled. So And clearly Jehovah God cares about the oppressed, especially the vulnerable young ones. And perhaps he uses those of us who speak out against this, who are labelled as apostates because we criticise the organisation and the leadership of it. Maybe God is using us to expose and put right the oppressor. What do you think? He's done that in the past, hasn't he? He's used, according to the Bible, he's used the secular authorities, the kings of the nations, to carry out his judgments. And we all know what Romans 13 says about the superior authorities. Just to refresh your memory, it says there, let every soul be in subjection to the superior authorities, for there is no authority except by God. The existing authorities stand placed in their relative positions by God. Therefore, he who opposes the authority has taken a stand against the arrangement of God. Those who have taken a stand against it will receive judgment to themselves. So you'd think that the governing body would try to be a little more cooperative with the secular authorities because they are placed there by God as part of his arrangement. And, for example, the Australian government and the Australian Royal Commission, you'd think that they would be bending over backwards to appease them. Verse 3 says, for those ruling are an object of fear, not to the good deed, but to the bad. Do you then want to have no fear of the authority? Well, keep doing good, and you will have praise from it. For it is God's minister to you for your good. But if you are doing what is bad, be in fear, for it is not without purpose that it bears the sword, for it is God's minister, an avenger to express wrath upon the one practicing what is bad. There you go. So clearly here is Jehovah is using superior authorities, the secular authorities, to put right the oppressor, the one who is not acting and treating others justly. So yeah, it does disturb me how a lot of witnesses just sit back when they see injustice, especially in the organisation, and they say, oh well, it is Jehovah's organisation and he knows what he's doing and he'll put things right eventually, so we can't take things into our own hands and do anything, we just have to wait on him. But from what I see in the scriptures, he expects his servants to do something when they see injustice, to put it right. They have such a funny attitude. I wanted to read, well, one of the things that prompted me to talk about this was a comment that I saw on Facebook where someone on the group, one of the ex-witness groups, was trying to, she says here that she asked her to be against child abuse. See, witnesses are kind of non-committal, sort of, they don't want to say anything that they feel is going to put the organisation in a bad light. But anyway, this is the response that she got from this person. Why do so many of us make ourselves victims? We can't change the past. The path we took has been taken. The people we met, the things that happened, the choices we made are gone forever. The choices others made for us are what they made. All this, whether right or wrong, makes us who we are today. So we can keep asking and sitting, doing nothing, feeling sorry for ourselves. Or say, hey, it's 2017, I no longer want to be a victim. I no longer want to use the excuse I can't do it. Get up, the day is new, make it your day today, right now, to say enough is enough. Always remember, whatever people have done to you, they have forgotten. They keep going on and living their lives, so why don't you? This is to all victims, past and future. Yeah, so it's kind of like saying, you can't change it, get over it, move on. It's quite sad because that kind of attitude is almost re-victimizing a victim. And it's really powerless. It teaches people to be powerless. So, but you know, as humans, we do, if we do have power to change things, but we have to speak up in order to do that, to make things better for other people. You know, when we see injustice, we can speak up about it and make lives better for them. It's almost like witnesses think it's not demonstrating faith in God to try and do something because God's going to fix it in the future. But just, I mean, remember that illustration that we often used when speaking to householders? Would say something like, if you had the power to correct all the injustices you see in the earth, would you do it? Because we were trying to show that Jehovah God could do that and would have that ability. I mean, he has the ability. But if we had the ability, is that something we would want to do, correct the injustices? And we expected the people to say, yes, didn't we? So, I mean, if we were made in God's image, then why should we just sit back and watch things? You know, why can't we speak out against injustice? And that's what I try to do with my YouTube channel. Anyway, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. And if you've got any comments to make, leave them below. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.